Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all for yet another session of Bhagavad Gita reading. We are reading the Bhagavad Gita Sloka by Sloka. We are on the third chapter, and today we are going to discuss a very important verse, verse number 37. Yes, and if we can recall from the last session was also very important. Uh, we saw that Arjun had asked a question to Sri Krishna, and he said that if a living entity is following all the rules and regulations prescribed in the scriptures, they are following all the prescribed duties. Still, at some point of time in their lives, they unwillingly commit some sinful activities. Okay, as if they are being forced to do so by some invisible force. Okay, so Arjun wanted to know that what is this invisible force which actually forces a living entity to commit sinful activities, right? And we left the session there, and we said that okay, we are going to give the answer in the next session, right? So to this question, Krishna is going to give a very interesting answer, and he is going to give this answer in verse number 37, which we are going to discuss today. Okay, so before we proceed to our discussion, I would first like to perform some pranam mantras. I would like to offer Mangalacharan to invoke auspiciousness. Those who know can repeat after me. Those who don't know, they can still listen very intently, because listening is also very purifying. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरि यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं। परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम्। हरि ओम तत्सत्। Okay, so we have performed the Mangalacharan. I would now like to share my screen so that I can bring up the shloka. Just give me a second. Okay. So Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 3, verse number 37 goes like this. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Vidyenam Iha Varinam. Once again. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma vidyenam iha vairinam. In the translation, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "It is lust only, Arjun, which is born of contact with material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath or anger, and which is the all devouring sinful enemy of this world." So, very important and a very direct answer Lord Sri Krishna is giving to Arjun. Arjun had asked that, "Oh Krishna, what is this invisible force, which compels the living entities to perform sinful activities, even though they are not willing to, act in that manner?" And Krishna here gives a very direct answer. He says that it's only lust, okay? It's only lust or kama, which forces the living entity to perform sinful activities. Okay, but then how come lust? Okay, where it is getting generated from? So Krishna is saying Rajoguna Samudbhava. Okay, that it is born from Rajogun or the material mode of passion. Okay, if you can recall, we had discussed in our previous sessions, I had just given a quick overview on the three modes of material nature, which are the mode of goodness, which is Satogun, mode of passion, which is Rajogun, and mode of ignorance, which is Tamogun. And out of these three mode of material natures, Rajogun and Tamogun are considered to be the lower modes of material nature. People who are predominantly in either of these two modes, I mean, it's very difficult for such people to elevate themselves on the path of self realization or on the path of spirituality or perform bhakti. Okay, so the crux of the bhakti yoga is to perform those activities which are primarily in the mode of goodness. Eat those kind of foodstuffs which are primarily in the mode of goodness. Perform those austerities which are primarily in the mode of goodness. So, by doing this over a period of time, a person remains situated mostly in the mode of goodness, and slowly and but surely they will rise above the three modes of material nature and come up to the level of what is known as Shuddha Sattva. Okay, and from there, the person can be considered as a liberated soul. Just give me a second. Yeah, I'm sorry. There was an important call which had come in between, so I had to take that. Anyway, so we were discussing about the three modes of material nature, and yeah, what I was saying is that if the person is primarily situated in a mode of goodness over a period of time, then slowly they will transcend the three modes of material nature and they will rise up to the platform of what is known as the Shuddha Sattva. Okay, and this is the whole crux of Bhakti Yoga. Once you reach that platform of Shuddha Sattva, then that person can be considered as a liberated soul already, even if they are still in this material world, right? So, Lord Krishna is saying here that this lust or kama is actually generated or it is born out of Rajogun or the mode of passion. Okay. And Sri Krishna further clarifies that if the lust is not satisfied, okay, then it gets converted into wrath or anger. Okay. Krodha. Okay. It gets converted into anger. Okay. And what are the effects that lust has? Okay. The on what are the effects which the anger have on a person? It is mahashana, that means all devouring. Okay, it simply it will eat you completely from within, without, everywhere, right? And then mahapapma, it's greatly sinful. Okay, and Krishna is also saying it is iha, it is the greatest enemy of all the living entities. So, oh Arjun, please be aware. Okay, aware of this lust. Okay, so this is the whole a kind of direct answer which Lord Sri Krishna is giving, that this lust is the all devouring and all sinful enemy of this entire world, of all the living entities. Yes, so one has to be very, very careful. Okay, so this is a very direct answer which Sri Krishna is giving in this particular sloka. That is, it's lust and lust only which forces people to commit sinful activities. Okay. Now, one very important thing to understand here is that this lust does not mean only physical attraction between two opposite genders. Okay. Physical attraction is only one aspect of lust. Okay. But lust actually means that, say, for example, we have a desire to enjoy something which is not ours. Okay, this is the best definition of lust. Basically, it is sense gratification. Sense gratification, using the using people, place, animal, things which do not belong to us. Okay, now if we think a little deeper, okay, and ask ourselves that what belongs to us, what is ours in this material world? The answer is nothing, right? Nothing is ours. We might be in an illusion that, okay, the house where I am living is mine, the spouse is mine, the kids are mine, parents are mine, right? But actually, if you think a little deeper, everything in this material world and in the spiritual world, basically everything in this entire creation, it belongs to Sri Krishna. Further in the Bhagavad Gita, we will see that Krishna is saying, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. Okay, which translates to Lord Krishna is telling Arjun that I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Clearly, very clear statement Krishna is making. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise people who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Okay, so clearly Krishna is saying everything emanates from me. I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds. In Sri Ishopnishad also, there is one very beautiful sloka which we call as the Ishavasya principle. Okay, and it says, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tektena bhundita ma gridha kasya svidhanam. Which means everything, animate or inanimate, within the universe, okay, is controlled and owned by the Lord. Okay, one should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, okay, and should not accept any other thing, knowing well to whom they belong. Very beautiful verse and very beautiful translation. And any person who understands this particular verse, okay, and they try to implement it in their day-to-day lives, that person will be completely peaceful and a self-realized person. Okay, so very important thing that everything, animate or inanimate, it belongs to the Lord and it is owned by the Lord. Okay, so with these two slokas, it is absolutely clear that everything in this creation, okay, material world or spiritual world, it belongs to Sri Krishna. Okay, because he is the creator, and therefore nothing in this entire creation is ours. Okay, we might be in an illusion thinking that certain people, certain places, certain animals, certain things, they belong to us, but no. The fact is, each and every single atom, you know whether it's in the spiritual world or whether it's in the material world, it belongs to Sri Krishna. Okay, and still we want to enjoy here as if we are the owners of everything, right? So in this way we see that all of us are lusty, okay, because we have the desire to enjoy something which is not ours, right? So all of us are lusty, and therefore we always commit sinful activities, because clearly Lord Sri Krishna is saying in this verse that it is lust only, O Arjun, which compels a living entity to perform sinful activities. Okay, sometimes even being fully cognizant of the fact that our actions are wrong, we do such actions, we perform such actions, right? It's all because of lust, and that's what Krishna is saying here. And there, uh, in this particular verse, there are certain characteristics, okay, of lust which are given. Okay, first is, we have seen rajoguna samudbhava, it arises from mode of passion. Okay, second, if it is not satisfied, it gives rise to anger. Okay, krodha esha. Third, it is all devouring. Okay, fourth, it's very sinful. And five, it is the greatest enemy of all living entities. So these are five characteristics of lust which are telling us, which Sri Krishna is telling us. Okay, and now that we know that, okay, this lust is our greatest enemy, this is that invisible force which compels all the living entities to perform some sinful activities. Okay, and each and every living entity is afflicted by it because we are all lusty, right? So how can we overcome it? That overcome this lust, right? So this is the next question. How can we implement this verse in our day-to-day lives? Okay, this we have to ask ourselves. Okay, now If you can recall, in one of the previous verses, we had given the example of rainwater. Okay, we said that rainwater, when it is coming down from the sky, when it is coming from the clouds, it is very, very pure and it's clear, right? But as soon as it touches the ground, it gets mixed with the mud in the ground, it becomes muddy and contaminated, right? So, similar thing, Srila Prabhupada is also saying here. Just see, we'll read from the purport. When a living entity comes in contact with the material creation, its eternal love for Krishna is transformed into lust in association with the mode of passion. Or, in other words, the sense of love of God becomes transformed into lust as milk in contact with sour tamarind is transformed into yogurt. A very nice analogy Srila Prabhupada is giving here, that milk itself is pure, okay? But as soon as it comes in contact with any sour substance, here in this specific case, Srila Prabhupada is giving the example of tamarind. When milk comes in contact with tamarind, it's a sour substance, it changes into yogurt. Okay, and once it is transformed into yogurt, the nature of the milk is completely transformed. Okay, it's very different from the milk actually, right? So similarly, love of God gets transformed into lust when living entity comes in contact with the material nature in the mode of passion. Okay, and we need to understand one thing very clearly here, that in spiritual world or Vaikuntha or Golok Vrindavan, okay, which is the eternal abode of Lord Sri Krishna. Okay, just give me a second. There is some issue. Yeah, please excuse me. There are some important calls coming in for different sevas actually. So, yeah, I had to take them. So, yes, proceeding. So, yes, Srila Prabhupada is saying that when milk comes in contact with tamarind or any sour substance for that matter, it gets transformed into yogurt, which is completely different. It has a completely different nature than milk. Okay, so this is what happens to the living entities when they come in contact with the material nature in the mode of passion. The love of God, which is there in the living entity, gets transformed into lust, just as milk, when it comes in contact with tamarind, it gets transformed into yogurt. Right. So one thing we need to understand very clearly here, that in the spiritual world, which is also known as the Vaikuntha or the Golok Vrindavan, which is the eternal abode of Lord Sri Krishna, it is one of the topmost planets in the Vaikuntha Loka. Okay, the strongest mood or the attitude of the inhabitants of these lokas, these Vaikuntha lokas, is the love for Sri Krishna or Lord Vishnu. Okay, so this is the strongest, what to say, the mood or the attitude or the uh, service attitude of the people. Okay, in the who reside in Vaikuntha lokas, right? And when this strong love for Krishna gets perverted in this material world, it gets transformed into lust. Okay. So this is the reason why, because we are having such a strong love for Sri Krishna or Lord Vishnu, right? When we try to enjoy ourselves, when this tendency for sense gratification, creeps in our hearts, okay, this strong love gets transformed into lust, and that is the only reason why lust is very, very, very strong. It's very difficult to overcome. Okay, so we'll continue reading from the purport. When lust is unsatisfied, it turns into wrath, and wrath is transformed into illusion, and illusion continues the material existence. Yes. So, a lot of times people have a question, okay, that if lust is not satisfied, it gives rise to anger. Okay, and because of this anger, the living entity is forced to continue in this material existence. Okay, so why don't just satisfy the lust? Okay, and as we have seen earlier, that lust is nothing but desire for sense gratification. So we can satisfy the lust completely, we can do as much sense gratification as possible, right? And after that, once we are done, we will be peaceful and will be self-realized soul. Is it so? Can this be done? That is a question. Okay, so the answer is no, right? If it were so easy, then Sri Krishna wouldn't have been speaking Bhagavad Gita on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And specifically in Bhagavad Gita, he wouldn't have mentioned a particular shloka, or say a set of shlokas in forthcoming shlokas we'll also see, where he's speaking about lust. Okay, so it's not that easy. Lust is not so easy to overcome. Okay, so in the Shastras, basically, or in the Vedic scriptures, lust is compared to fire. Okay, and satisfying lust is just like adding some fuel into that fire, say putting ghee into the fire. Okay, so if we put ghee into the fire, what will happen? Will the fire be extinguished? No. Right? It will burn with even more intensity, right? So that is what happens with lust actually. Okay, lust can never be satisfied, never. Okay, unsatisfied lust gives to anger, which is given in this shloka, and if we satisfy the lust, it will give rise to greed. Okay, so when a person gets angry, as we see that they are completely illusioned, and this illusion keeps us in this material world forever. Therefore, lust is our greatest enemy. If we don't satisfy it, it will give rise to anger. If you satisfy it, it will give rise to greed, right? So it's very, very difficult to satisfy the lust, or it's if you don't satisfy it, you will get angry. So it's very important that we lead a disciplined life, keeping our senses under control. Okay, we'll continue to read from the purport. Therefore, lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity, and it is lust only which induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in this material world. Right? So, why are we in this material world? Okay, because of our tendency to enjoy separately from Krishna. Okay, without Krishna, we just wanted to enjoy. Okay, without the association of Krishna. Excuse me. So, this is the only reason why we are here in this material world. Okay, there is no specific time, which can be traced, that when exactly this kind of mindset crept into us. We were all with Sri Krishna or Lord Vishnu in the Vaikuntha Loka. At some point, um, this desire to enjoy separately from Sri Krishna or Vishnu, it just kept crept into us, and because of that, we fell down from that position, from Vaikuntha Loka, and we came down here in this material world to enjoy, okay, without Sri Krishna. Okay, so we want to enjoy all the things which rightfully belongs to him and him only, because we have seen that he is the creator, everything emanates from him, right? And because of this lust, we remain fallen in this material pool for millions and millions of lifetimes. Since time immemorial, we are just struggling, in this material pool. Okay. So another important thing is that lust arises from the mode of passion, rajoguna samudbhava. That is what Krishna is saying. And when lust is not satisfied, it gives rise to anger. Now this anger is in the mode of ignorance. It is in tamogun. Okay. So one very important point is given here. Just see. Um, Therefore, the mode of passion, instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, is sorry, if therefore the mode of passion, instead of being degraded into the mode of ignorance, is elevated to the mode of goodness by prescribed method of living and acting, then one can be saved from the degradation of wrath by spiritual attachment. Such a nice point Srila Prabhupada is making. Okay, what happens when one follows the rules and regulations of the scriptures? Okay, the rules and regulations of the scriptures, they help a person to remain within the jurisdiction of the scriptures while doing sense gratification. See, all of us are here to do the sense gratification only. Okay, and we are all trying to enjoy separately from Krishna. But if the sense gratification is unrestricted, okay, then the person will fall deep into the mode of ignorance, and they will remain in this material world forever. Any person who is primarily in the mode of passion or ignorance, there is no hope for such person to get out of this vicious cycle of birth and death. Okay, they will always remain in this material pool forever, suffering and suffering and suffering, completely entangled in this cycle of birth and death. So when we follow the rules and regulations of the scriptures, of the Shastras, sometimes it might be difficult, yes, but it's okay. Yes. Why? It is better to have some difficulty for a short period of time than to suffer for time immemorial. Right? And that is exactly what is happening with people who are in the mode of passion and ignorance. Okay. So yes, little bit of difficulty or austerity is okay if it is liberating a person from eternal pain of Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi means birth, death, old age and disease, right? This is the situation of the material world. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. Okay. So another question. Okay, when we were there in Vaikuntha, living with Krishna or Vishnu, having love of Godhead, then why are we here now? Right? So, very nicely explained in the purport. We'll try to read. They, which means the living entities, also have partial independence, but by misuse of their independence, when the service attitude of when the service attitude is transformed into propensity for sense enjoyment, they come under the sway of lust. Okay, so this is what Prabhupada is saying. Living entities have a small amount of independence, okay, either to serve Lord Sri Krishna or to serve Maya. Okay, and when we misuse this free will, okay, when we choose to serve Maya because we want to enjoy separately from Krishna, our service attitude towards Sri Krishna is transformed into desire for sense gratification. Okay, and then we completely come under the sway of lust. It takes over, lust wins and we lose. Okay, because lust is very, very strong, that we have seen earlier. Okay, and what is the purpose of this material world then? Sometimes people may ask, why did God create this material world in the first place? Right? There is also one old Hindi song, I think of the black and white era. uh, दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे मन में समाई, काहे को दुनिया बनाई. Right? So just see, Prabhupada is giving the answer to this question. This material creation is created by the Lord to give facility to the conditioned souls to fulfill these lustful propensities. And when completely baffled by prolonged lustful activities, the living entities begin to inquire about their real position. It's very important. So we saw previously that lust can never be satisfied. Okay, if you try to satisfy lust, it gives rise to greed. That means more and more desire for sense gratification will come, right? And this material world was created to provide the facility for the living entities to satisfy their lust. Okay, Krishna said, okay, you want to enjoy separately from me? Fine. I'll give you a place where you can go and enjoy. And he created this material world. Go, enjoy to your heart's extent, but he also warned us that whatever you do, you will be responsible for that. Right? And we have seen here that lust can never be satisfied. So living entity who is trying to satisfy it will always remain in misery. Okay, either they will be frustrated, or sometimes their lust will not get satisfied due to n number of reasons. Maybe some physical limitations are there, some financial limitations are there, or so many other limitations are there. So when lust remains unsatisfied, it gives rise to anger, and once anger is there, the person it falls down in the mode of ignorance. And when in the mode of ignorance, what happens? The person falls down deeper and deeper into this material pool of existence, because anger creates illusion, and because of that illusion, person remains in the material existence. Similarly with greed, you satisfy your lust to a certain extent, you will become more greedy, you will have more desire for sense gratification. At some point of time, you will reach a point where it will not be possible for you to satisfy that lust. Again it will give rise to anger, again anger will give rise to illusion, and because of that illusion, we will fall down into this material pool again and again. So this is a vicious cycle which is going on and on and on, right? We have to understand that. It will So the living entity who is trying to enjoy separately from Krishna in this material world, it will always suffer. Okay, that is why Krishna has termed this place as Dukhalayam. Okay, there is no happiness or no sukh here in this material world, right? It's always Dukhalayam, because we are always trying to satisfy lust, which is not possible at all. Okay. However, when a good fortune of the devotee, of a living entity arises, they come in contact of pure devotees. Okay. ब्रह्मांड भ्रमिते कोनो भाग्यवान जीव गुरु कृष्ण प्रसादे पाए bhakti lata beej. Right? In association of pure devotees, by their mercy, okay, this illusion is broken. Okay, the illusion of the living entity. And once this illusion is broken, then living entity starts asking the right questions. So what the hell am I doing here? Right? Why I am wasting my time? Why do I need to suffer? Who am I? Who is God? What is my relationship with God? And these questions are termed in the Shastras as Athato Brahma Jigyasa. That means inquiring about the Supreme. Okay. And the person slowly, once they start asking these right questions, they slowly start elevating themselves from the platform of sense gratification to the platform of service towards Lord Krishna, back again to the platform from where they had come. Okay. So, very important thing, both lust and anger, here Prabhupada is saying, they can be utilized in the service of Krishna. Okay. So instead of, once someone is getting angry, anger is in the mode of ignorance. Okay. But if we can, utilize it properly in the service of Krishna, then we will not, degrade further into this material existence. Rather, it will help us to elevate back, on the platform of goodness, and then further to the platform of Shuddha Sattva. It will be actually liberating. Okay. If we are able to utilize this lust and anger in the service of Krishna. Okay. So how it can be done? It's given here in the purport. If therefore lust is transformed into love for Supreme, or transformed into Krishna consciousness, or in other words, desiring everything for Krishna, then both lust and wrath can be spiritualized. Yes, very important. So right now we just want to enjoy. Okay, we see that we want to enjoy, nothing belongs to us here in this material world, still we want to enjoy. That means we all are lusty. Okay, but if somehow we can transform this lust into love for Sri Krishna, then we are done, we are liberated, right? At the end of our life, we'll break this cycle of birth and death, and we'll go back home, back to Sri Krishna. Okay, now how to do it? Okay, that is the question. Okay, it needs some external factor, it needs some higher power to do that. Okay, and what is that higher power? That is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, when we are chanting this Mahamantra, what are we doing? We are associating with Krishna directly. Why? Because there is no difference between Krishna and the names of Sri Krishna. Okay, so we are directly associating with Sri Krishna. And when we are chanting, what is Sri Krishna doing? He is cleaning away all the dirt which are there in our hearts, right? And when that happens, we utilize everything in the service of Krishna. Okay, slowly that love for Godhead will start, you know, showing up within us. Our entire existence will be about serving Sri Krishna. So this is about lust. What about anger? How can we use anger in the service of Lord? So there are two examples which are given. One, Lord Hanuman. When Lord Hanuman went to Lanka, just to see where Mother Sita was, kept in Lanka, right? So just to gather some information about that place. When he saw Mother Sita, sitting beneath a banyan tree, in Ashok Vatika, and she was obviously very, very, what to say, in the pain of separation, okay, from Lord Ram, okay, and very sad, in a very, what to say, piteous condition she was there. So, looking at her condition, Lord Hanuman became so angry, he became so angry that he set entire Lanka on fire, right? So in this way, we see that he utilized his anger in the service of the Lord, right? And just because he set fire to the entire, Lankapuri, when he came back, Lord Ram was very pleased with him. He became one of the great devotees of Lord Ramchandra, right? So this is one example. Another example is that of Arjun in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, right? Initially, we are studying the Bhagavad Gita. We'll see that initially, from the first, second chapter, even in the third chapter, we are seeing that okay, Arjun is actually hesitant to fight. He is not willing to fight his relatives. He is not willing to take up arms against his kinsmen, right? But when Krishna will deliver the entire Bhagavad Gita, all the illusion, all the mental blockade which Arjun is having, it will be gone, and finally he will say that okay, Krishna, I am ready to fight. I will do as you wish. Okay, and then he picks up his Gandiva bow and just he enters into the battle. Now, when someone is on the battlefield, fighting against the enemies, you cannot fight without anger. You have to exhibit that anger against your opponents, right? So This is how Arjun utilized his anger in the service of Krishna. Okay, and Krishna was very pleased with his efforts. Correct. So we'll see what Prabhupada is giving. Uh, the examples the Lord Srila Prabhupada is giving in about these two personalities, Lord Hanuman and Lord and Arjun. Just give me a second. Yeah, I'm really sorry. There are a lot of phone calls coming, so I have to take them. Okay, so we were discussing about the two examples what Srila Prabhupada is giving here, in which anger can be utilized in the service of the Lord. Okay, so what Prabhupada is saying here, Hanuman, the great servitor of Lord Ramchandra, exhibited his wrath by burning the golden city of Ravan. But by doing so, he became the greatest devotee of the Lord. Here also in Bhagavad Gita, Lord induces Arjun to engage his wrath upon his enemies by sorry also, here also in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord induces Arjun to engage his wrath upon his enemies for the satisfaction of the Lord. Therefore, lust and wrath, when they are completely employed in Krishna consciousness, become our friends instead of our enemies. Yes. So, such a nice, purport Srila Prabhupada is giving us, right? That, okay. Both lust and anger, if it is employed in the service of Lord Sri Krishna, what happens, instead of our enemies they will become our friends. Okay, so in Krishna consciousness everything can be utilized in the service of Krishna. Okay, that is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. Yes, even lust and anger can be utilized in the service of the Lord. So to summarize, we are stuck in this material world because of our propensity to love Krishna is transformed into lust. Okay, so that is the reason why we are stuck in this material world, and this lust has to be transformed back to the love of Godhead, and that can be done by practicing Bhakti Yoga, specifically by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The next few verses, Krishna will explain more about lust, and it will be very helpful for us because we will understand what are we doing and why we are doing. Okay, so let's discuss those in the next sessions. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this particular session. This shloka was a very beautiful and very important shloka that Sri Krishna has given us. Okay, and now that we know that why sometimes forcefully we are committing some sinful activities, as if some invisible force is acting upon us, right? And that invisible force is lust. So we have to overcome lust. Okay, so one very a nice secret solution which I am going to give, one of our senior acharyas at ISKCON has given us this formula. I would like to share it with all of you, that lust can be conquered by lust. Right? Confused? How can lust be conquered by lust? So lust is LUST. Okay, so L stands for loud and attentive chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is loud and attentive chanting. U stands for understanding the philosophy. Okay, read the Bhagavad Gita, read Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. S means sadhu sangha, or association of devotees. Associate with devotees as much as possible. Okay. And T means to control the urges. Okay, tolerate the urges of the senses. Okay, so L is loud and attentive chanting, U is understanding the philosophy, S is sadhu sangha, and T means tolerate the urges of the senses. Okay, so lust can be conquered by lust. Okay, so with that note, I would like to end this session here. I hope this will help you, and if there are any questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. Okay, if I feel that uh, any of the questions is of very profound importance, or maybe if that question can be in the mind of so many people who are not free, who don't feel free to ask it right away, then I would try to make a video out of that question. Okay, and still, if some of you want to have a more personalized interaction with me, okay, regarding the question and answers, then please feel free to join our WhatsApp group. We have a WhatsApp group whose description is given here in the description box below. Okay, and just click on that link, We will add you to that WhatsApp group. I'm also a part of that group. And you have, if you have any questions, you can post it there. I'll be more than happy to answer. There can be a little more personalized interaction, compared to this virtual video recording. Okay. So I hope you like this session. Please keep tuning into it. Please, I would like to thank all the viewers who are consistently watching my videos. Okay, and please keep doing so. And after the sessions are over, please go and read the verses that we discuss in these sessions. Okay, so self study is also must if you want to understand the philosophy completely. Okay, so with that, I would like to end today's session. We'll meet again next week. Till then, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.